class. So last time we were on the verge of finishing the chapter, the political formations of the 18th century, and we will now take up the last part, that is the case study. Okay, till whatever we have done, is everything clear to each one of you? Is it
Yes, ma'am.
good? So we take up this as a heading: case study Marathas. Now, the Marathas rose to power in the 17th century. The Marathas under Shivaji posed a threat to the Mughal Empire and were the most determined rivals of British supremacy in India. Under the leadership of Shivaji, the Marathas became very powerful and well organized. Shivaji was born in AD 1627 in the fort of Shivneri, 40 miles from north of Pune. Shivaji is recognized as the founder of the Maratha Empire. By 1647, Shivaji had captured two forts and had complete charge of Pune. In 1659, Shivaji succeeded in killing Afzal Khan, the general of the king of Bijapur. He completely demoralized the Bijapur army and laid the foundation of Maratha kingdom near Pune. So now they are very firmly telling you how the Marathas gradually rose to power under the leadership of Shivaji. He was born in 1627 AD, and his first conquest was where he proclaimed his supremacy was the conquest of Afzal by killing Afzal Khan, and then it was Bijapur which was conquered. The army of Bijapur felt humiliation and was greatly demoralized. And finally, he captivated Bijapur. And it was then from there he rose to power. You know the place where he was born? It was Shivneri, which was 40 miles north of Pune. He gave a constant threat to the Mughal Empire as well as to the British. Shivaji used guerrilla tactics and brilliant military strategies to lead a series of successful assaults in the 1660s against the Mughals. He attacked Surat and looted it. This was a big blow to the Mughals. So please, the new term that you come to know is about the guerrilla tactic. Now, what was this? They never came as a army standing in front and facing the other army. They followed guerrilla tactics. That means they used to hid behind the bush. They would uh, please switch off the mic. Please switch off the mic. They used to hide behind the bushes and they used to attack randomly. So this was known as guerrilla tactic, where they were taken, where the uh, enemy's army was taken aback. They were taken in surprise by their attacks. They never made a full army face the other army. They always hid and attacked. So it was like this, and they were brilliant in this act, and they looted Surat, which was a very prominent place at that time, and proclaimed their supremacy. Aurangzeb was alarmed at the growing power of Shivaji. He sent Raja Jai Singh to besiege Shivaji in the fort of Purandar. Shivaji was arrested and the Treaty of Purandar was signed. According to the treaty, Shivaji had to surrender 23 forts of Aurangzeb, 23 forts to Aurangzeb, then accept Aurangzeb as his lord and meet Aurangzeb at his court. Now, this treaty is very important. The Treaty of Purandar. It was signed by Shivaji and Aurangzeb, knowing the growing power of Shivaji, he had sent Raja Jai Singh of Amber to go and attack and take Shivaji by surprise in the fort of Purandar. Now he was attacked and Shivaji was Taken aback, he was forced to sign this treaty after he lost to Raja Jai Singh. So the conditions of the treaty were that firstly he had to give away the 23 forts he had conquered to Shivaji. Secondly, he had to accept Aurangzeb as his supreme king. Thirdly, Aurangzeb had asked him to come and meet him in the court, in the Mughal court. Shivaji was arrested when he went to visit Aurangzeb at his court. Later, he escaped and regained his lost territory and glory. By 1673, he had control over most of western Maharashtra and had made Raigad his capital. In 1674, he assumed the title of Chhatrapati. At the time of death in 1680, nearly whole of Deccan belonged to his kingdom. He had developed an efficient administration and powerful army. So now, according to the third clause, when he went to visit Aurangzeb, there he was made captive, and he escaped in a fruit basket from there. And again, he regained his glory and territories by reconquering the places which he had given away in the Treaty of Purandar. Then by 1673, he had nearly the entire western Maharashtra under his control. He made Raigad the capital of his kingdom, and also he assumed a title called Chhatrapati. That means the supreme king. So by 1680, when he died, it was that the entire Deccan area was under his kingdom, and he had an efficient administration and very powerful army. His son Sambhaji succeeded Shivaji. Sambhaji was taken prisoner and executed by Aurangzeb. Please put off your mic. Executed by Aurangzeb, Shivaji's second son, Raja Ram, then ascended the throne. After the death of Raja Ram, Tarabal put her 10-year-old son, Shahu, on the throne. He, Tarabai, sorry. She continued her struggle against the Mughals and captured Raigad, the former capital of Maharashtra. The fight against the Mughals ended with the death of Aurangzeb in 1707. So now they are telling you that after Shivaji, his son Sambhaji took over the throne, but then he was made captive by the Mughals and had to give away the throne. So it was his second son, Shivaji's second son, Rajaram, who took over the throne. And after Rajaram's death, he was minor, and his death, there was a maid called Tarabai. She had put her own 10-year-old son, Sahuji, to rule the throne of Maharashtra, Raigad, and she captured whatever was given away to Mughals. And then she tried to regain the glory of the Marathas back. And it was with the death of Aurangzeb in 1707 that the struggle had ended. The administration of the Marathas was controlled by Shivaji. He had a council of 8 ministers called the Ashtapradhana. The most important ministers in his council were the Peshwas, the Senapati, and Pandit Rao. So please know that he had Shivaji's administration was very well controlled, very powerful, and he worked in guidance with the council of 8 ministers, whom he also gave a name called Ashtapradhan. Please remember this. And then there were Peshwas, Senapatis, and Pandit Rao, who looked after the affairs and administration under Shivaji. Shivaji divided his empire into provinces, which were further subdivided into parganas and tarafs. The village was the smallest administrative unit. Its headman was called Patel. So please know that Shivaji divided his whole kingdom into provinces, and then the provinces were further divided into parganas and tarafs. Then this below the tarafs were the villages. That means number of villages made tarafs, made number of tarafs made parganas. Number of parganas were made provinces, and all the provinces were looked after under the king, the Maratha ruler, that is Shivaji. The head of the village was called Patel. Land revenue was fixed after assessment of land. The state's share was fixed to two-fifths of the produce. The state provided loans to the peasants when required. So now all the states which came under him, under Shivaji, okay, the Maratha states which were ruled by Shivaji had to pay two-fifths of whatever they produced. Supposing they produced five sugar canes, so out of those five sugar canes, two were given to the Marathas. Okay, then apart from this, the Maratha territories were not so fertile as the rest of the country. Shivaji therefore collected two kinds of taxes called Chauth and Sardeshmukhi. Now, apart from this, since the province was not very fertile, so he collected two types of taxes, land revenues, through which he could, properly maintain his army, and those were Chauth and Sardeshmukhi. Now, Chauth was one-fourth of the assessed revenue paid as tribute to buy protection from plunder by the Marathas. Now, Chauth was paid basically by those nobles and province holders who did not belong to the Maratha Empire. That means, supposing this was the Maratha Empire, this area, the subordinating side areas, was paying chauth to Shivaji. Why? Because they wanted protection. Otherwise, he would occupy them also under his kingdom. So, chauth was paid by the people who wanted Shivaji not to interfere in their affairs. So they had to pay the one-fourth. That means whatever they produced, out of that, one part was given, one-fourth was given to the Marathas. Then what is Sardeshmukhi? Sardeshmukhi was one-tenth of the assessed revenue which Shivaji demanded as chief of the Marathas. These taxes helped him to maintain a large army. At the same time, it was one of the main reasons for the decline of the Maratha power. Now, this Sardeshmukhi was as a tax taken by the king, and this he took from his kingdom. Apart from taking two-fifths, apart from taking two-fifths of taxes, he took Sardeshmukhi also from the entire kingdom. 10% was taken. Okay, one-tenth was taken. Clear? So that with that money he could maintain large army. And now this people considered as a loot. Why? Because this turned out to be a major reason of Maratha's decline, because this excessive collection, firstly, he took this two-fifths from them, and later on, he also wanted one-tenth of the produce. So, finally, this was one of the reasons why the Marathas declined gradually. Then the Peshwas from 1712 to 1761. In 1712, Shahu died and his minister or Peshwa, Balaji Vishwanath, took over the throne. He died in 1721. Bajirao, his elder son, became Peshwa after the death of Balaji Vishwanath. In 1734, Balaji Rao captured the Malwa territory in the north. In 1739, he drove out the Portuguese from the Western Ghats. Baji Rao died in 1740. His son Balaji Baji Rao succeeded as the Peshwa. He defeated Ahmad Shah Abdali in 1756 near Delhi, but in the third battle of Panipat between the Marathas and Ahmad Shah Abdali in 1761, Marathas lost the war. This war destroyed both Abdali and the Peshwas. Balaji Bajirao died soon after the war. His second son, Madhav Rao, assumed the title of Peshwa in 1761. He restored the glory of Maratha kingdom to a large extent. In 1769, Marathas led by Mahadaji Sindhya headed the North India campaign. They defeated the Jats and took hold of Agra and Mathura. Madhav Rao died in 1772 at an early age. So here they are talking about the Peshwas. They are telling you that in 1712, please underline these dates wherever you find them. This whole page is full of number of dates and information. So in 1712, when Shahuji died, his Peshwa, that means his minister, called Balaji Vishwanath, he took over. And very soon, he also died in 1721. It was then that Baji Rao, his son, took over. You remember that Baji Rao Mastani? It was the same Baji Rao. Okay, he took this power, and now the Peshwas were ruling. So in 1739, he even drove away the Portuguese from the Western Ghats. Okay, and he was the one who took up a war and had captured number of territories, especially the Malwa territory, etc. Then they are telling you that when Bajirao died in 1740, his son Balaji Bajirao took over. Okay, and it was he, and that means the Balaji Bajirao and Ahmad Shah Abdali were the ones who had a fight in 1761. But this war had destroyed both Abdali as well as Balaji Bajirao. And in the third battle of Panipat, where Marathas under Balaji Bajirao and Ahmad Shah Abdali, it was the Marathas who lost it. Okay, gradually and then gradually they defeated the Jats and took hold of Agra and Mathura. Madhav Rao died in 1772. So, with this, we come to an end of the chapter. We were supposed to do the glossary, and then let's come on to multiple choice questions. Which of the following statements is incorrect? The incorrect statement is 1D. He belonged to Mongolia. Underline Mongolia, write there Iran to make it correct also. You should know the correct answer. And number 2, which of the following pairs is incorrect? Again, it is 2D, Khalsa Panth and Guru Arjan Dev. Underline Guru Arjan Dev and write there Guru Gobind Singh. You should know the correct answer. That is why. Shivaji was born in 1627 at Shivneri, 3B. What was Ashtapradhan? A council of 8 ministers, 4B. Choose the incorrect pair. The incorrect pair is 5D. Coronation of Shivaji in 1674. Please write the correct one also. Then come to match the following. Awadh will match with Sadat Khan, 1C. Hyderabad will match with Asaf Jah, 2D. Chauth will match with 1/4 of the land revenue, 3A. Khalsa Panth will match with Guru Gobind Singh, 4E. And Bengal will match with Murshid Quli Khan, 5B. So your matching will be 3A, 5B, 1C, 2D, 4E. Coming to the fill in the blanks. Ahmad Shah Abdali plundered India 5 times. Number 2, Savai Raja Jaisingh made Jaipur his capital, Jaipur. Guru Gobind Singh believed that the Khalsa were born to rule, Guru Gobind Singh. The Bharatpur fort was built at Deeg. Deeg. The Maratha kings levied 2 taxes, the Chauth and the Sardeshmukhi. Chauth, Sardeshmukhi. We stop here for today. I hope everything is clear to each one of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So the question answers we'll do in the next period when we meet. Okay. Bye class. Thank you.
Bye, ma'am. Thank you.